If on Tadoba, Butadoba, or Paraffin, more than 79% of the people of Ruka, with the great resorts that is in Busoga, he knew that we were going to tell them that more than 87% of the people of Ruka rely on firewood for survival. He knew that I was going to tell the people of Ruka that only a quarter, 25% of the people of Ruka have permanent houses. A quarter of the population. He knew that. That's why he stopped us. I mean, by the way, in a special way, abantu baluka mbalamusa kuino gwali mu kisagwa amani okwira kwe wife lwachi luka ndetayo wife nze baba wange nga tanafwa yankoba nti omu ku badada bange mudi 18 something yaliwe luka era bamuziika luka bali bamweta bwagu era ndikwida kufunayo lunaku lulala nje eruka eyo kumalanga wiki ndala nonye ku relative bange ab'omuluka nkidi nti abalala bakaliyo aya abandi basenguka era bajayiganga era ndidi nti abakaire b'omwiganga baidi omukaire bali beta bwagu Sekayi yali mudingu ino awo mwiganga yafa mu myaka ja 1950s baba we yankoba oyo mukaire we dada wange baba oyatola ku erina lya Sekayi nali wa mutabani wange beta Solomon Kampala Sekayi erina lyali lya dada wange bali bamweta bwagu Sekayi yali mudingu weiganga kale no mubona oti abantu bebusoga banenda ino ayenze nambenda ino tinso bibaba ze ndiwe busoga ndi mwana wa Luuka. So I salute you, my brothers and sisters. I knew Museveni would not allow me to come and tell you these things by dividing us along tribal lines, along religious lines. But now he sees a generation that's so connected, as if this connection was made in heaven. So he's so scared about us coming together. I would have told the people in Buyende that despite paying a lot of taxes, over 70% of them have no access to drinking water. I would have told them that. I would have told them that over 90% of the people in Buyende aged above 15 years, they only have senior 4 as a maximum level of education. He didn't want me to tell them that. He didn't want me to say that over 4,900 households in Buyende lack toilets and over 93% don't live in decent houses. He's scared of that. He does not want me to tell our people that they are actually slaves in their own country. These statistics I'm giving you are from, a government agency, UBOS. So Museveni is scared of that. Museveni knows that we can break it down for our people so that they really know how much he has robbed our country, how much he has impoverished our people, how much, how serious an urgency it is for us to get him out of power, to rid ourselves of, of a looter. He did not want that. However, we are able at least to share this now. He didn't want me to come to Kamuli because he did not want me to remind our people there of the persistent lies that he has been telling them, promising one thing after another. He didn't want that. He didn't want me to remind the people of Kamuli about the sick healthcare system. He didn't want me to remind the people of Busoga of how much he has killed their education. I told a few people that I met in Busoga that my dream as an artist was to go to Namasagari College. When I was still a school-going boy, Namasagari College was a dream of every talented, of every artistically talented young man or woman. But look what happened. Busoga College Mwiri. We all wanted to go to Busoga College Mwiri. We all wanted to go to Butiki. We all wanted to go to schools like Wanyange Girls, but now they are more or less gone. So Museveni did not want us to remind our people that way, and that's why he blocked us. The same can be said on the districts where Museveni have been blocking us from reaching. During the past weeks, of course, we had the opportunity to go to different districts. I went to Karamoja, and the sight of poverty you see in Karamoja, a naturally endowed area, it is very sad. You know, I met some people, some young children, evidently malnourished, as if we are, you know, parading them for the journalists to come and take pictures. But the sad irony was that besides these malnourished children, there were still hungry looking young men holding brand new AK-47s being used to keep their people in poverty. That is the reality in Uganda. Hungry mothers, hungry fathers, miserable people. This is what was happening in places we go to. Hungry and mean-looking soldiers holding brand new weapons. But on their side, miserable children with no future to speak of. But it reminded me that that is how Museveni sees us. He sees us as his slaves. He sees us as people that are only supposed to be used as tools for him to milk our country. The people of Uganda will recall that in his inaugural speech in 1986, President Museveni branded leaders like himself today as, you know, a pathetic spectacle. He said in 1986, and I quote, he said, "The Honorable Excellency who is going to the night is doing this because he knows he has no way. He has to use violence now. We are here, but we are mourning the death of more than 50 recorded young men and women, innocent citizens. Many of them were going about their business and they were shot dead. Many of them were only speaking out against injustice. He sentenced them to death because he believes that by threatening anybody that dares to speak out, he will be silencing us." I also saw the Minister of Security, General Eri Tumwine, confirming that indeed their police has the power to execute any citizen. We condemn that and we continue to tell him people of Uganda will be free. Of course, Museveni did not want me to go to Masaka or Chiruhura or Rukunjiri or Ntungamo because he's scared. He does not want people to show support. He has always been claiming that our support is only in the central region, only in urban areas, but I'm sure the truth was clear for everybody to see that indeed the people of Uganda from all corners, from north to the south, from the west to the east, all of them are yearning for change. All of them are for change. You all notice that they've tried as much as possible to brand us as violent. And as I always reiterate to our comrades in the struggle, that we are non-violent and we don't intend to use violence whatsoever to achieve our desired goal. We don't believe in violence. We know the regime is trying as much as possible to brand us so they can, you know, respond to us with violence. And sadly, these people that are being used to make violence to innocent citizens citizens, they are equally miserable. I met an elderly man for a long time. He struggled as much as possible, selling even the land that his parents left to him to take his son through school to be a police officer. Of course, he studied economics, but after 4 years of graduation, he has not found a job. But this man, all through his career, all through the 40 years of him serving in police, he has been promoted only once. He has lived to witness the sons and daughters of those who are well known fly through the ranks past him. But now his son wants to join the police. Yes, I mean, after his bachelor's degree, he has not gotten a job. He's at crossroads seeking advice from me. And me, my advice to him was to vote, to come out and vote, because this cannot be fixed if we don't have a better leadership. This cannot be fixed if we don't have a leadership that considers, merit while promoting the men and women in uniform. Of course, so many other people that I met, the young nurses, there's even a nurse that was, fired for interpreting for me when I went to, to Nebi. No, to Pakwach, actually. I was in Pakwach. This nurse is going through trouble for translating words that are not inciting violence, for translating words that are only communicating a message of freedom. My fellow Ugandans, I only want to encourage you to be firm. I only want to encourage you to believe in change that is before our very eyes. We are going to the polls on January 14th. Although Museveni and his people are trying as much as possible to stamp it in our minds that we don't have a right to change our fortunes through a vote, although they've unleashed brute force trying to communicate to us that even when we vote him out, he has the capacity to rig the election. But I want to give you confidence, my brothers and sisters, that it is possible. We have seen more brutal dictators around us, but the power of the people has prevailed, and the people's voice has ultimately reigned supreme. So I want to give you confidence. I want to give you encouragement. It is sad that we lost our people. It is sad that our country continues to be divided by people that know how dangerous it is to divide us, but we as a generation should stick together. We as a people should remember that we are stronger together and we are more united than divided. All through history, these dictators, they unleash brute force. They use young men and women to brutalize their fellow citizens. But when it's time for them to go, they run away alone. I want to send a message to our brothers and sisters in uniform, those in police, those in the military, those in prisons, and all security agencies. Friends, do not be misled by these men and women whose future is already behind them. Please don't be misled. I want you to remember that you are living in a generation where everything is on camera. And I'm sure you've seen in the past that at the end of the day, each officer that abuses the rights and freedoms of the people ultimately answers individually. We know many of you are good citizens. We know many of you are good officers. I've interacted, and indeed you have communicated to me that you don't like the orders that you are being given. So I appeal to you to stick by what you are trained. You are not trained to brutalize Ugandans. For you, the police officers, you are trained to protect life and property of the citizens. You are trained to keep law and order. You are officers of the law. For the soldiers, the military men and women, you are trained to protect Uganda and its sovereignty. Your enemies are not the Ugandans. So don't be used. We know also that the regime decided to use some bandits, like historically it's known that the regime has used bandits, or they have been bandits themselves in the past. So they've decided to use some armed hooligans who show up on our streets without uniform, but wielding dangerous guns, AK-47 and others, shooting and murdering unarmed civilians. I want to remind you, friends, that there will be a time of answering questions. So whatever you do, remember that one day you're going to answer. Now, to President Museveni and his anger zone. You have spoken the way I'm speaking in the past. Only that, very disappointingly, you don't want to be reminded of your words. Mr. President, all we are saying is be a man of your word. It is you, the elders, that teach us to keep our word. You say if you're a man, you keep your word. So all we're asking of you, Mr. President, is keep your word. Be a man of your word. You said Africa's problem, and Uganda in particular, are the leaders that overstay in power. You one time said a fundamental change had come to Uganda. You one time said you will not preside over a government where people are killed and you don't know the killer. You one time said that you went to the bush because Obote killed your people, because Amin killed your people. These are the same reasons that you gave for picking up guns and convincing young men and women of that time, our age of that time, and even younger, to join you in what you called a liberation struggle. But here we are, 40 years later, you are killing our mothers, you are killing our fathers, you are killing a population who are supposed to be your grandchildren. You are presiding over a regime that are in your book by you and your team called Mission to Freedom. The words that are in your book called Sowing the Mustard Seed. The words that are in your book, What is Africa's Problem? I continue to remind you, Mr. President, that we are not going to give up, sir. We are not going to give up because the law is on our side. We are not going to give up because the people of Uganda are on the side of the truth. The same truth that you are stopping us from telling the people. You said you were fighting to return democracy. Let democracy prevail. Be a real soldier. If you're a real soldier, respect the rights of the people. If it is democracy, let it be democracy. Respect fair play. Let the people of Uganda decide. I know many of you fellow Ugandans have asked us what we shall do to President Museveni after we defeat him. I've said it and I'm saying it again, that now entirely depends on him. It depends on how he wants to go out. If he respects the voices of the people of Uganda, we would be happy to respect him, to retire him with dignity, and of course to have him as a resident former president who can even guide. But if he decides to go the Gaddafi line, to go the Bashir line, to go the Mugabe line, that still depends entirely on him. So finally, to the people of Uganda, I want to remind you that this is not only about a certain section of people. It's not only about young people. And yes, it's not only about elders. It's about all of us. This is about all of us. Bad roads will not ask what tribe you are or what religion you are or where your family is before they kill you in an accident. A badly governed country will not, discriminate. Some of you have seen young ladies that were not political at all. Some of them did not even know they are slaves in their own country, going about their usual business, murdered. A young lady who was carrying food to a customer, murdered. We saw even a university lecturer murdered. So we are all in danger until none of us is in danger. It is important that we all play our part. Those in Uganda and those in the diaspora. We, the leaders, all we can do is offer ourselves to lead the charge. But everybody is equally important. I want to